So, Assalamualaikum. We are Group 8 for Section 3. So, we are going to present about the origins of language. So, these are our group members. There are total 5 of us. And this is the table of contents. So, let's get started. So, for introduction, my name is Anissa Farhana with Farhan. So, what is language? Language is the principal method of human communication. Language is consisting of words that can be used in structured and conventional way. It can be conveyed by speech, writing, or gesture. Okay. And of course, language evolves gradually, just like human. In time, people create their own language in signals, symbols, words, and more. But who started the language? Linguistic professions have many different theories regarding the origins of the language, and as a result, many opinions were created. Thus, let us to our next slides.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Azian Binti Azman and my metric number is 2070-450. So I'll be the one explaining about divine source and interesting story about the divine source theory on where languages come from. It is categorized into 4 theories as much as I know. The first one is the Tower of Babel. After the post-flood incident, the Noah's Ark, or in Islamic view, Prophet Nuh alayhi salam, the Tower of Babel happened during Prophet Moses or Musa's day. Pharaoh Namrud arrogantly challenged the space of God by attacking it by building a tower with its head reaching to the heavens, ended up incomplete because God's wrath divided them into speak into diverse languages to punish them. They cannot communicate and the construction stopped, divided them into groups and each group evacuated into different places around the world. Next, Adam, the first human. So whatever he called is their name and it turned out to form a language. Some say Hindu language comes from Sarasvati, the goddess that creates language because she is the goddess of arts, knowledge, music, speech, and etc. There's Egyptian experiment, Semitic Gusto, the dead pharaoh, isolated the baby with goats, and the baby's first word is Bekos, the Phrygian word. Lastly, the 4th Scottish King James, where children spoke Hebrew as their first language, the same case as Semitic Gusto. And the most important thing, it is only theory, not a fact, and there's still no evidence to prove all of these are true due to diverse of religion.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Nazihah Binti Akhwan with metric number 2013528. I'm going to present about the natural sound source and the social interaction source. So the first one is the natural sound source. This theory is based on the concept of natural sound. Humans start to process sounds even before birth, and this allows them to connect a sound with the thing making that sound. This leads to the concept that primitive words originated from impersonations of the natural sound that first humans heard around them. Natural sound source can be divided into 2. The first one is the bow wow theory. The idea of this theory is that the early humans tried to imitate the sounds they hear and use them to refer to the objects making those sounds. For example, the sound cow cow of a crow. This is called onomatopoeia. However, there are problems with this theory. The first problem is that it is hard to refer abstract concepts, for example like truth, and soundless things, for example like leaf, to onomatopoeia, as onomatopoeia only refers to the natural sound. The second problem is the language is not only made up of nouns. However, this theory shows us a view that language is only made up of nouns. The second theory is the poo-poo theory. This theory proposes that sound of language may have come from involuntary cries of emotion. For example, the sound ouch indicates that the person feels pain. However, normal cries of emotions are usually produced with instant breath inhale, whereas humans exhale air while talking. Next, the social interaction source, or also known as Yoheko theory. This theory proposes that language could be developed from the noises of a person making physical effort, especially when it was participated by several individuals and communication had to be interconnected. The examples of the noises are groans, grunts, and curses. However, this idea does not reveal the origins of language. This is because there are also other primates, like apes, that use social calls and grunts, but they have not developed the ability to talk.
I'm Binti Roskiman, and I'll be continuing about the physical adaptation source. So, physical adaptation source is about the physical features that distinguish humans from other creatures which may have supported speech production. So it is about the physical features within humans. So in the study of evolutionary development, it has resulted in partial adaptation, making speech possible for early human. So this is including teeth and lips, mouth and tongue, larynx and pharynx. Okay, so first we will be talking about teeth. So teeth are upright, not slanting upwards like those of apes. It is roughly even in height. It is good in grinding and chewing, and teeth is helpful in making sounds such as f and v. Next is about lips. It is more intricate muscle interlacing. It is more flexible. It is capable of a wider range of shapes, and it is helpful in making sounds such like p, b, and m. Okay. Next is mouth and tongue. So mouth and tongue is relatively small compared to other primates and can be opened and closed more rapidly. So it can be controlled. And then mouth and tongue it is smaller, thicker, and more muscular tongue that can be used to shape a wide variety of sounds in the oral cavity. And airway through the nose can be closed off to create more pressure in the mouth. And it is capable of a wider range of shape and a more rapid and powerful delivery of sounds. So it is making sounds deliver more clearer. Next is larynx and pharynx. So larynx is the voice box in your throat containing the vocal folds or vocal cords. So due to the upright position, head moved directly above the spinal column and larynx dropped to a lower position. Therefore, as a result, the pharynx cavity above the vocal cords act as a resonator, become longer, increase range and clarity of sounds. The disadvantage is that due to the lower position of pharynx, human may choke more easily on food. But the advantage of getting this extra vocal power is that it outweighs the potential of disadvantage, which is getting choked. Okay, that is it.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Aisha Sofia Sulaiman, and my metric number is 2019-008. So today I'm going to be presenting about our group topic, which is the origin of language, which I will be explaining about the subtopic, which is the tool making source of language. So let's start. It's a simple subtopic. So I'll show you the slides in the main screen, so you guys can look at the points I've made in the screen. So let's start. The topic which is the tool making source of language. So let me give a brief explanation of what is the tool making is about. So as we know in biology, we know that the human brain, the cerebrum, is divided into two parts, which is the left and the right hemisphere. So language is processed at the left hemisphere because it is more verbal. It functions as an analytical and orderly compared to the right hemisphere of the brain, which is more focused on creativity and music and artistic stuff. In the human brain, we have what we call the Broca's area, which is responsible for the speech production and articulation. It is located in the left hemisphere. So this theory of tool making source indicates that manual gestures as a precursor of language. So as we know, in the ancient times, people used symbols and signs to communicate with each other. So they used manual gestures like hands, using hands like waves and or something like that. So it paves the way for people to create a language. And then humans create and manipulate objects from different parts and materials, what we refer to as the tool making source. So in the ancient times, humans create and manipulate objects from different parts and materials to basically survive in the world, because they don't have machines or technology as we have today. So they create something from stone, mostly from stones and woods, to do work and to catch animals and to get food, basically. So the process of making tools is associated with the process of creating words to form a sentence. So this is what relates the tool making process to language. Biologically speaking, the area of motor movement in brain is very close to the area of language skills. So researchers found that this connection is somehow related to how humans can create a language, can form a language, because the process of, for example, a person wanna make a hand axe. So at that time, so they collect stones, they collect woods, and they collect roots from trees, and they combine them together to make an axe. So you can hold the axe, and stones will function as the sturdy and the strong tool, basically to cut anything. And the words will, tighten the different materials, different parts. In language, we combine words and sounds to make a speech. It can be said that the brain experiences what we call as lateralization in the left hemisphere of the brain, especially occur especially in among right-handed persons, individuals. For example, as the previous example, somehow similar to the process of human creating a sentence. For example, in this slide, we can see different sounds of names, such as the b, u, and k are combined to create the word book. To conclude, it is believed that the tool-making process during ancient times might lead to the process of creating language to communicate with each other, because humans use both hands to create tools, and using the brain to manipulate the objects, to repair the object, to sharpen the stones, the knife or axe. So I hope you can understand all about the tool-making as a source of language.
For those who don't know who's Noam Chomsky, this is him, a linguist. He came out with the theory of universal grammar. Curious? It introduced the idea that language is within us genetically since we were born, meaning the humans are born with a special ability to speak and know how language works. The innateness theory, which emphasizes that even deaf-born baby can express in sign language by childhood. And the most important thing, this theory tells that only humans were born with this capability.
It's me again. The next subtopic I'll be presenting is the critical period. So as we see in the slides, it's written the critical period as the crucial window of opportunity for every human to learn language. In the next slide, what is critical period? So continue with the definition of critical period. So as we see on the slides, critical period is the ideal range of age for human mind to acquire first or second language, and the range of age is between 2 years old until puberty. When one hits the puberty, he or she will lose cerebral plasticity. So that is why it is theorized that adults cannot learn a new language as fast as a child. It is proven that the ability to pick up a new language with correct grammar is strong during the critical period, because children can absorb information, store memory, and adopt pronunciations better, mainly due to more active neurons in the brain. But it is worth noting that while children can learn any language within the critical period, of course the learning ability mechanism must be accompanied by sufficient exposure or input surrounded by the child of the particular language that they want to learn. If a child was born in England if a Malay child, if a Malay child is born in England, then the child can easily acquire the English language along with the received pronunciation, with the British accent and stuff. Even though the family's native language is not English, or the mother tongue of the child is Malay language. So without much exposure or interaction between humans, one can suffer from deprivation, utter deprivation, or communication skills. That's what happened to Ginny Wiley, who was kept isolated from a very young age. I think when she was 20 months young. So early starting age is necessary to learn language, but it does not promise full mastery if the process of acquiring is disrupted by other circumstances. For example, like for instance the Ginny Wiley case. But nevertheless, adults can still learn a new language if the environment supports, or if she or he has worked or lived in a foreign country for years long and fully adapt to the language spoken in that particular country. But it still needs more effort and time compared to child. So thank you for listening and watching our presentation, although it doesn't end yet after my part. And I hope this video can be beneficial to all of us.
Next is Islamic perspective. So in the Quran, Allah had mentioned that Allah created human with the ability to learn any human language that is innate to human beings. So therefore, all human languages are worth studying. All human languages are equally important, and all varieties of language are structured, complex, rule-governed systems which are wholly adequate for the needs of the speaker. And next is that through Islamic perspective, we know that the Quran invites us to study and respect the diversity of language. So the variations of language is listed with other phenomena of nature. So we can see from the power of Allah to bring the living from dead, and the opposite, the dead from the living, the dead to living. His power to create human beings from clay. His power to create helpmates among mankind and ordain love and mercy between them. So one of the verse in which the variations of language is mentioned is, and among his signs is the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the difference of their languages and colors. Rely in that are indeed signs for men of sound knowledge. So here we can see that Islam really touches us to learn about languages, and it is important for human beings to acquire languages.
Okay, so no one knows the origin of language because there were so many speculations, so no one really know what is the truth, what is the false one. So while many others were still speculating about the origin of language endangerment occurs around them. It happened when a language is at risk of falling out of use as its speaker die or shift other language. And language loss occurs when the language has no more native speakers and become a dead language. If eventually no one speaks the language at all, it becomes an instinct language. So this concludes our presentation based on our topic, the origin of language. Thank you for watching.